All right, good morning, everybody on YouTube. This is Signet with Bullish Bears, streaming for Lucian this morning. It's February 10, 2020. It is almost 9 o'clock. Futures are down about 0.1%, almost nothing at all. The Dow is down 0.2. Other than that, we're looking for a little bit of resolution this morning. There was some news on Bloomberg that China may perhaps keep their factories offline for one more week due to the virus. That's what tipped the market back over again this morning. We were all waiting for it to come online and then this, so we'll have to just wait and see. That was also what initiated the pop on the Tesla side of things. If you use Thinkorswim, you can see on the Use the News app, which is built into it, there are quite a few upgrades and downgrades and initiates this morning. It's just a quick way of getting a glance of what's been moving in the overnight hours. There is, of course, Trade Flash. This is run by the Hammerstone Group. If you don't run something like Black Box Stocks or Cheddar Flow or one of those unusual order flow companies, then this is a great free version to kind of get an idea of what's moving around. I like free, but you get what you pay for. So a little bit of news on Lyft, Airbus, HPQ. There was an article that came out this morning on 9 of the movers. Apple got whacked a little bit with some of that China news about factories not opening or not opening back up on time. If they do set aside the opening for another week, we're looking for this market to break the lows. Jerome Powell will be speaking in the Congress tomorrow. It's nothing out of the ordinary. It's just the normal standard thing that happens every so often. No big deal there, but still be aware of it. Understand the impact, the consequences of that. Should he chip his teeth and say something the wrong way, and he definitely has a history of doing that. Tries to stay so vague that he ends up putting himself in a box. So good morning, good morning. If you got anything that you really want me to look at, throw it up there in the screen. This is your opportunity to do that because at 9:15, I'm going to go over to the Bullish Bears chat room and begin streaming for the members of our community, and I will be focused on their chat, not yours. Of course, you can always stop by and sign up for the 14-day free trial. You can't argue with free. You get access to the community, a lot of our free content, and then if you should join for the membership, you would get access to our next level educational content. Morning, Felipe. So GM is actually on my list. It's one of those that got upgrade, downgrade, analyst projections. Anything that gets any kind of upgrade, downgrade gets my attention. Not because somebody says, oh, I'm upgrading it or I'm downgrading it. It's just because their upgrades or downgrades causes volatility in the market, and that's all we're looking for, right? Volatility is just another word for movement. A little bit of pre-market pop. It's a bit of a gap. Nothing exciting yet. Notice that the gap pushed it right up into yesterday's highs. That'll be my demarc line in the sand. Looking for this thing to break and run. Once it closes above that level, I would really look for it to resolve last Thursday's price action. We start taking that out onto the higher time frame. You can see this tiny little handle on the cup. It's so cute. There was a great picture that I used to share around that had an amazing picture of a cup and handle spanned out from an intraday time frame all the way out to a weekly, and they actually named the cups according to the size of the coffee that you could get at like a Starbucks or something. It was an interesting picture, but it just showed the idea that These patterns are inside of patterns, are inside of patterns, are inside of patterns. So with the upgrade, the price raised to $46, should expect nothing less than a little bit of volatility, but it needs to break these levels. When you look left and you see this kind of structure, you realize that it has to have enough mojo to break through that. So if it can get enough of it, get a running start, then on the day we could easily see this get above the $35, right? We're not asking for too much out of that. A buck and a quarter, buck and a half maybe. Keep your eye on the energy. It's an odd way of looking at the market, actually looking at something that has energy. This fractal energy indicator, you can find it in the room drive. You can find it on my Discord. It is really unique. Most places they measure momentum or trend or inertia. I've never seen anything like this. It's the choppiness index, depending on what broker you use. You can find choppiness index on TradingView. We know that a market can gain energy three different ways: from quickly reversing, running sideways, or slowly grinding. And when we see a market make a move like GM did the other day, we need to ask the question, did it make a move with energy behind it, or did it make a move while gaining energy? If you want to put some perspective on that, think of dropping a ball off the top of a building. As the ball drops, it gains energy. The reverse side of that would be throwing a ball to your friend. As the ball travels, it loses energy. So understanding a move in the market with energy, is the move being done with energy behind it, or is the move being done to gain energy? This move in the market was done with energy behind it. This move in the market was done to gain, or excuse me, other way around. This was done burning energy in the market. This was done gaining energy in the market. You can see here, it gained energy in that move. It burned energy in this move. Be aware that if you're trading options on this with the Friday expiration, those options have not yet settled, so you'll still be running with a second-tiered Greek unless you go farther out. Nike, I'm personally partial to Nike. I did a little work at the Foot Locker facility near my home last year, and I couldn't trade this while working there. It would be inappropriate because of the insider information that I had. So now that I don't work there anymore, I'm happily trading Nike again. Take Nike into the pre-market. Start to zoom in here. Notice we don't really have a lot. We don't really have a lot. Now, I put out a video yesterday on this pattern of a market that is moving in a downtrend, forming a basing pattern. The criteria used to determine the trade entry on something like this, you'd be looking for a reversal off the lows. I don't see Nike in the trade flash. Not to mean that that we need to have it there. Pretty sure I didn't see it in the upgrades or downgrades either. No news. AMD. Yes, everybody's favorite AMD. I used to trade the hell out of this until I started looking at BK Mellon. That's Bank of New York Mellon, BK. AMD, Bank of America, BK, all right in those 40s and 50 ranges. Great product to trade with options that aren't too expensive. Run like a rolling credit spread. It's a nice trade opportunity, something like that. A little bit of weakness. Look left for structure. Just see that structure hold and start to move back up. Make sure that when you try to trade anything like AMD that you look at its peers. That doesn't have to be a hard thing to do. You can use FinViz for that, or you can just use the Discord, type in !peers, and it calls up other products. HPQ this morning had some analyst upgrade, downgrade news. So that is a peer of AMD. If this doesn't seem to be volatile enough for you this morning, you could always jump over and hop on that bandwagon. It is far enough past its earnings now that it should be running with its own first-tiered Greeks again, so you shouldn't have any problem using Friday expiration options. Be aware that the China pushback, if they do keep their market or their production facilities closed for another week, that is drastically going to whack tech. So, just a little thought on that. With that kind of volatility, TLT, bonds, VIX, gold, silver, anything like that would be really in play today. Any REITs as well. Keep your eye on utilities products. Maybe healthcare, but that's a big maybe for the healthcare. Intel, INTC. Full disclosure, I am in a trade in this, and when I'm in a trade that I'm asked to analyze a product on, I just think it's fair to let you guys know. I don't feel that I'll be biased by it, but it's still appropriate for me to mention I am short in Intel, have been since this pop back here and the fade. It's all right. I'll take it. I've got a credit spread sitting up here. And so far, so good. Grubhub. Analyst worries new strategy will hurt margins. Keep your eye on that. Also look at its peers, recognize what's going on here in the pre-market. This move the other day, think about how the market closed Friday. You should be able to see SPY in your mind when you close your eyes. If not, maybe you're not geeking out enough. Drink a little more coffee. Close your eyes and overlay SPY on top of this, and think about the way that Grubhub reacted in the marketplace the other day, and then have some perspective on that between Thursday and Friday of last week, and then where we are this morning. Now, Thinkorswim will do that for you, of course. You can just go in and use the comparison indicator. Just let it default to SPX. SPX is SPY. Just it's like the granddaddy. Zynga. This must have a beta of 1. Look at how exact it was with the market last week. You can always check beta in the options chain if a product has options, but if a product doesn't have options, you can just jump in and look at the beta. Notice how well it correlated with the market last week. We were really in sync with the market last week. That doesn't always happen. The more correlation we have, the greater the trading opportunity. It's pretty much like throwing a dart at a wall. So what I'm doing here is I'm preparing for the market open. We have a nice window in the first 30 to 45 minutes of the morning to spot bullish and bearish divergent opportunities. Doesn't always work and doesn't always even offer the opportunity, but when it does, we want to take advantage of it. Thinkorswim won't keep these settings, so we have to go in and do it every morning. NASDAQ, S&P, the Russell, and the Dow Jones. And there is one more that you can do, kind of a big picture view, the New York Stock Exchange itself. Run down. The NYSE. And just like that. Yeah, let's get that out of the way. All right, PLAG. We're just going to bump these down for a moment. When the bell rings and we are waiting for some price discovery, that'll be the time to bring that up. Oh my God, what an illiquid piece of shit. So if you're going to trade this, be real careful. You're going to get stuck or squashed. Make sure you have a trading plan that can deal with something like this. Surely I got the wrong thing here. You didn't really want this, right? PLAG. All right, yep. I didn't read that wrong. Be very careful, people, if you're going to trade something like this. There are plenty of products out there for $2 that have cleaner charts than this. And by the way, with the new micro futures products, you can literally open an account for $250 and you could trade 22 hours a day with no PDT, meaning you can trade when you get home from work, before you go to work, you get the kids in bed, dinner's done. There's no PDT, so you don't need offshore brokers. You don't need trade alert services. You can literally be trading a leveraged product. The S&P and the NASDAQ, they move great all day and all night. And if it moves a buck, you make 5, or it moves a buck, you make 50, depending on whether you're trading a mini or a micro. It is moving. I can't disagree with you there. Just be very careful on something like this. I know a lot of us, we focus on these penny stocks because it's what we can afford to day trade. But our future in trading is really these new micro products, the micro futures. Your day trading skills that you've acquired, any trade that you do in this, you could do in the futures, and you could do it with a lot more money. Meaning, if it moves a buck, you make 5. The tiniest account, $250. You go in and you trade the MES. I mean, look at this. It's moved in the last few minutes from 33.26 to 33.16. It's a 10-point move. 10 times 5, that's $50 with one contract. One contract, the buying power is $50. So with a $250 account, you could easily grab 2 contracts, take a trade in this for 5 points. You see what I mean? So this kind of trade and this kind of growth, capital cannot be matched by day trading penny stocks, and especially something as dangerous as PLAG. Not to say that we can't trade this. The question just becomes, what is the one thing that can get you to your goal quicker and easier? If you are interested in learning more about that, there are what we call small account brokers. And the one that I use is Tradeovate. So if you go to tradeovate.com, and I'm not trying to promote them, there are other ones. Ninja Trader's another one that's really popular. I personally don't like it because of the mobile qualities of it, but Ninja Trader is a $400 minimum balance, and Tradeovate is $250 minimum balance. And these micro futures are the future of the marketplace, guys. For someone like us with smaller accounts, maybe we're avoiding PDT or we're wanting to day trade. You can day trade futures 22 hours a day with no PDT. You got to love it, right? You can get in and out of the market all day long. Different regulatory body, so you don't have to worry about it at all. Me and Lucian are covering more of that in the Bullish Bears community. So If you want to come over and learn more about options, I spent all last year developing next level educational content in the options arena, and now we're going to be focused on futures products because those micros are the future. Everybody have to pause. I'm going to pause here for just a moment. I got to fire up the live stream in our regular community. Good morning, everybody. I need a sound check here, please. I'm going to be streaming for Lucian this morning. If you are new to the community, welcome. This is Signet. It is Monday, February 10, 9:18 in the morning. Thanks for the sound check. Appreciate that. We was just discussing the micro futures, of course, because it is the future of the marketplace. If you use Thinkorswim, we have some analyst rating changes, downgrades and upgrades and initiates. We also have Trade Flash that's been up and running this morning, doing pretty good. Use the tools, man. They're right there. You know, you don't even have to learn how to program a scanner or get fancy and geek out on this thing. It just does all the work for you. There was some whispers that China was going to not fire up their production facilities this morning, and if that happens, I expect this volatility to increase in the marketplace. So be aware of that. I no longer have the news on since I'm now streaming. So if that happens, if somebody wants to give a shout out, definitely appreciate it. FedEx is something that was on my list this morning to trade. In the swing trade bot scanner, we had the 5 products, right? It's always a list of 5. I'll post those into the room. On a morning like this, guys, keep your eye on the bonds and the VIX. For sectors, we're going to be looking through the REITs, mainly just defense, right? Utilities, REITs, healthcare, consumer discretionary. I would be very careful of anything tech. Apple got whacked pretty hard this morning on the idea that there could be delays from the China facilities. Always nice. You know, you just bring up live news on Thinkorswim. It's down in the bottom. Again, I got my eye on FedEx today. Boy, not good options there. A little bit of pop this morning, a little bit of pop. All right, so what you guys got? Lift getting a little bit of structure. Look left, not hard to figure out why it stopped where it did in the pre-market. That's going to be the line in the sand overhead. Nice tight candle formations here. Be aware on the 11th, aftermarket earnings. We did not look at Square this morning. Oh, nice, right into structure. Not too bad. Could see something out of this today. Make sure I didn't miss anything in there. I didn't. So for analyst upgrades and downgrades from the Thinkorswim platform, I threw them into this list. Had some pretty decent ones in there worth keeping an eye on. Really like the way ARDX is looking. This type formation in price action, this kind of stuff gets my attention. You cannot contain anything in nature for too long. I didn't mention it. It's an overlay of SPY or the SPX. Thinkorswim will run comparisons. And we've had a lot of market synchronicity. That's a hell of a word. The market's really been in sync lately. And so, getting an eye on a market that has stepped outside the boundaries as gives a little bit of perspective once in a while. Just got some new downgrades that popped up. Just have to see where that goes. VSAT. Nice structure there. That run Friday back up off the lows. Good morning, Adam. Yep, VT has been all over the scanners this morning. WWE was downgraded. Absolutely, Microsoft. Be aware I am in a Microsoft trade. It's always fair for me to let you know when I'm in a position because it's not appropriate for me to give an analyst perspective without sharing that. Other than that, I don't think it biases me at all. I just think it's fair to tell you that I am in a position. I'm long in Microsoft. This has really done nothing this morning. If we change this beta or this overlay from the SPX to the SPY, something that is actually running in the pre-market, that overlay might be a little more valuable. So there you can see the normally we say, SPY is Apple and Apple is SPY, and sometimes the market moves futures, sometimes the futures moves markets. While you can see that the S&P broke structure, Microsoft did not. As with any tech this morning, it is not going to be about the candles. So keep that in mind. It's going to be all about China this morning and whether they bring their facilities online or not. So you can stare and analyze these candles all you want. That one piece of information is going to be the catalyst. If you're not already in a trade, perhaps give some thought into not trading in tech until that gets resolved. If you're already in it and your trade is profitable, perhaps think about getting some risk out of the trade. MYO has been on the list this morning. Oh my goodness. What a nasty bugger. Beautiful trend though. Can't argue with that. Look left. You got this great pivot point back here. And if we give ourselves just a little more time on the map, there's a little more structure way back here. After that, we'd have to get the Ouija board out. Still, the opportunity is there. You got to love linear regression when it comes to this kind of trading. It definitely closed the gap. Had a gap here and had a gap here. So it definitely resolved all of that. Right now, that blue line, 12.6. That puts us pretty close to where we're at right now. I see Dell got a rating change. Increase from 54 to 56. Maintains neutral rating. A little bit of weakness this morning. Faded to 51. It's trying to form structure there. There goes the bell. So as we typically do at the bell, we're waiting for a little bit of price discovery the first 5 minutes or so. One way that I like to do that is by bringing up the money, looking for bearish and bullish divergence. So you can see here the NASDAQ has 25 issues moving up, but it has 3-to-1 money flow. More than that, really, way more than that. So 1 out of 4 of the NASDAQ are going up, 3 out of 4 are going down, and yet the money flow is very, very bullish. Dow Jones 30 markets, 25 are going down, 5 are going up. More money is leaving than coming in. New York Stock Exchange, more issues going down than up, more money coming in than going out. Bullish divergence. In the Russell 1000, we call it 70-30. Way more capital coming in than going out. And in the S&P, call it 75-25. More money going out than coming in. So the market is absolutely not in sync this morning. Everybody's running in their own direction, and nobody is playing fairly with others. Just keep your eye on this, guys. Just let it kind of just settle out a little bit. Let the market form a direction, make a decision. We don't need to second guess or anticipate the market this morning. We can just wait, let it give us some guidance, some road signs, and we can hop on and take a ride. Now, if you got your hotkeys ready and this thing is making some moves, so, you could grab a scalp opportunity, but if you're looking for a position trade, the positions just aren't there yet. ABBV pressing up into Friday's highs. A break and a hold above that level be a great trade opportunity. Pull that out to the higher time frame. You can see this is all-time highs. Be careful of an island reversal. You don't want to be the one holding the bag. Option opportunities would have been all right for Friday's trading, except that this had earnings, so you can't use Friday's options. Step out a little bit farther than that, say mid-March, you would have decent options there worth playing. Creed showed everybody how to do it on Netflix. You got to get it while the getting's good. Notice this overlay. If you're trading something that's in the NASDAQ, you can change the comparison tool from SPY to NASDAQ. Might be a little more accurate. Of course, if you're looking at something like Apple, Apple's in everything. It's in the Russell, it's in the Dow, it's in the NASDAQ. Autodesk call block, 3:30 Feb 28 calls. Very nice. All right, we got the first 5-minute candle in. Need another 5 minutes. Let's take a look at the sectors real quick and just see what is moving this market this morning. So finance, tech, consumer discretionary on the frivolous side, which is a little surprising with that cruise ship has been identified as a incubator for that virus, and I kind of expected that market to take a bit of a whack. Apparently it didn't. Industrials, energy. So the ones here in the middle, this is what we call the midline sector, that are demonstrating weakness this morning. They're kind of flat off the lower pre-market pivot. XLB flat off the Friday pivot. And then on the bottom, this is what we call the defensive sectors. Consumer discretionary on the home side, healthcare, utilities. So the market to sustain this move up needs some help. Tech and finance cannot do it all by themselves. They can keep us afloat, but they can't keep a rally. Not sure if anybody's got news on whether or not China's going to fire up their production facilities or not. PayPal call sweep 527. Calls opened at the 120. All right, so Apple pulling back again, running a bit divergent from the S&P. I wouldn't read too much into it yet. Kind of really got to see where things are going to shake out. Yeah, me neither. I took a jump through the the Twitter bots, and I didn't see any bot that popped up with an alert about it. I heard it on Bloomberg this morning that was even something that was being discussed. When I tried to find any print material on it, I couldn't find anything. So maybe they were just spreading the rumor. So FedEx was raised to buy from neutral. It's what got my attention this morning. It's still something I'm looking at. UBS raises FedEx to buy. Nice break up in the market. If you guys don't look at all four of them, this is what I'm watching. That tan line is where we opened, and the pink line is yesterday's lows, was Friday's lows. And you can see here through the Globex, through the overnight, that this range is just something that we had been just ping pong all night long, never really getting into a new zone. So we're getting kind of that pivot point here. The Nasdaq's got this very strong level, that overhead resistance. And if you look left, you don't have unity because the S&P is not at that same range yet. The Russell already got there and took a pullback, and the Dow had already got there and taken a pullback. The market's not quite moving in sync other than that big thrust. The 3-bar play, look for a pullback here. Get the signal to take a bite if that's your jam. Take a look at Google. Look left. Got the same price structures running back. Yeah. Growth. Go out and you want to do some fishing. Jump into something like X Steel and go into the options chain. Try firing off a couple of really cheap bites at the apple for some of those calls. That is not X Steel. Calls or puts. I didn't even look at what X Steel was doing this morning. They're down almost 1%. So these puts running at $6, go in and say you run some fishing line out there at 3 cents, 4 cents. That's awesome, JS. Over the weekend, I was explaining to somebody that, sure, you could go in here and you could scalp SPY with call options. Say you grab 10 calls and you take SPY for a 10-cent move. That's pricey. That's pricey, and it's a lot of risk, and you start out in the hole. And yet you could go out with an MES micro futures contract and have no PDT, do it 22 hours a day, and you control how much risk, and you don't start out in the hole. You literally start flat and either make money or don't. And so if I have to hold those two as a choice, they're both the S&P. They're both going to move the same. They're both going to offer me an opportunity to trade into the S&P. I'm going to lean into the futures every time, since I can do it with no PDT and I can do it 22 hours a day. And I can do it for less risk. So for an example, we do have 0-day options. 0-day means you can run the 50 delta. That puts us at the money. Let's take a peek between these two. You got a higher vol with the 91. So $90 a pop. Grab 10 of those. 900 bucks. Take it for what, a 10-cent move, 15-cent move. For a little bit of perspective, how much you would make if the SPY moved $1, you can use strike price shift differential. That's just a really fancy way of saying that you can look up or down the chain. So if I bought this call here, the 333, and we moved an entire dollar in the market, I could make about 60 bucks on it. You can see, say I buy it for 40, sell it for 90, I made $50. If, on the other hand, I buy it and we dump $1, I could sell it for $10. So I'm risking $20 to make $50. Guys, that's a great 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio right there, plus some, right? Get your commissions in. You don't even need a stop. You got your risk reward right there. And say you buy 10 of those, $380 times 10, and you take it for even half that move. So it moves 50 cents and you make $25 out of it. Yep. So, glad to hear you got a good trade. Glad to hear that your strategy and your trade logic is getting you green, but the futures market would offer you so much more. So much more. Options were never designed to be day traded. They weren't even designed to be traded from Monday to Friday. We hijacked them for that, and we can be successful doing it, but we're really handicapped in that. So I don't even bother to tie a weight around my neck and jump into the pool anymore. I day trade futures and swing trade options. SFIX, more call flow coming in. That's SFIX. Initiates coverage on Stitch Fix at market perform. Price target $24. Of course, that was from this morning when it was a little cheaper. Depending on your broker, you can open an account for $250, and the buying power on one of those micro brokers is going to be $50 per contract. And you're not buying it, you're only borrowing it. Kind of like when you go to the beach and borrow jet skis, you leave a deposit. When you bring the jet ski back, you get your deposit back. It's the same with futures. So those micro brokers call it $50 of buying power reduction per contract for the MES. And when the MES moves $1, you make $5. Since it is a leveraged product. Creed is still batting Netflix around. Let's see what we have in the trade flash. AMD at highs. I used to get so excited about trading this thing, and now I would much rather focus on BK Mellon or MU, something else. Look left, got a lot of structure here. It's running right into this massive resistance level. So be aware, if you weren't in it yet, you're more than likely have missed the boat. It is up almost 1% on the day. If you want to trade this option often, not option, if you want to trade this often, I promise you, you can make a living, seriously, trading AMD every single day. It has a really decent ATR a great options structure. It's not on my list of day trade option products that I would want to trade every single day, but you absolutely could because it offers you that much opportunity. We are far enough away from the window to be able to trade Friday's options also, by the way. So a little bit of perspective there. Seen someone ask a question about FXI. FXI, it's that China ETF. Uh, Keep in mind that China dumped $300 billion into their marketplace, right? They're quantitative easing right now on a whole new level, and they're trying to sustain themselves. They're literally gambling and firing the guns at it with everything they got. Guys, everything they got. And if it fails, China is going to dump. If that virus gets out of control, this thing is toast. And so is their entire economy is gone. So trading it on a day-to-day basis, yeah, sure, I wouldn't mind trading it on a day-to-day basis and try to play against someone who's dumping funds into the marketplace by the billions. I wouldn't look to try to bet against them since we know that they will do things like that. And I wouldn't try to bet on them because I don't play against viruses. VT still offering a lot of opportunities for fun and games this morning. This is the open range. One of my favorite things to trade is the open range. You get a market that has a clearly defined high and a clearly defined low, and you wait for the market to break out of it. Me, I don't use an open range time frame. Some people run a 30-minute open range or a 1-hour open range. I run pivot high to pivot low. So instead of using this Globex line here, perhaps it would have been more appropriate to go there. But it's such a wiki bugger, and I'm looking at the downside anyways. So I just went ahead and adjusted it to Globex. The main focus for me is this low down here. A little bit of news coming through. Qs, 220 puts. That's a lot of deltas. MCK, right into structure, and it made it above it. So if it can hold there, then we got a game changer. Also, look at the fact that it's in open range. So there's the open range high, there's the low. Stretch it out. One way of looking at this is the Busby. So you had the open range. You had the market come up. It's now coming down to validate the break. And then you would look to see the continuation. Be aware that this is already up 3 3/4%. It's a heck of a move for a product that's $160 something. FCX Feb 14 puts. Notice it just broke structure. If you look at Friday's lows, that's where it was flirting. Tagged it, tested it, broke it. Somebody's betting on that break to hold and run. 2,500 Feb 14 puts at 11.5 for 19 cents a piece. Airmark. One of the things that I use to keep my pulse on the economy. I've worked for enough companies where I got dirty every day that they would pay for our uniforms, and our uniforms were almost always supplied by Airmark. And when the economy is good, Airmark is good. Notice that they're struggling here. I don't know what they presented for forward guidance, but they are having a hard time of it. EEM. Couple of orders coming through there. Oh my goodness, what we got here? Sweeps and AGG. Roku up 4.9%. All right, it is almost 10 a.m. So you people on YouTube, this is your last opportunity to reach out. Got my attention. After that, I'm going to kill the stream at 10 and recommend that you stop by the Bullish Bears and sign up for the 14-day trial. Recognize that trading as a part of a community is a heck of a lot better than trading all alone. I made a video over the weekend, but sets a bottom. We watch it form a base, and then we look for the trade trigger entry to go long back against it. For me with Airmark, that might not be today, but my break back through this downward trend in the last few days is going to be 40.90. AR, $1.62. This thing is getting punished this morning. Notice the pullback with structure. This red moved down, and then the green bars here, this green bar, more than likely, is profit taking. It's not necessarily a reversal. This isn't where you're asking a question, is it a change in market sentiment? Highly doubtful. More than likely that people who took the ride are getting money out, getting risk out of the trade. And people are still hammering it. Yeah, David, we do stream daily, but not me. We swap members on different days. We have people that moderate at the Bullish Bears. The schedule is posted in the community. This stream that I'm doing here is kind of our public service side of things. We try to stream for an hour, hour and a half for free to the YouTube community. If you come by and sign up at the Bullish Bears website, you get a 14-day free trial. You have access to our streams and our free educational content. Meet a bunch of traders, get some perspectives, learn some different trading tactics and strategies, options, futures, day trade, swing trade, and of course access to the indicators and everything else. And bring donuts. SPY calls 341 for 1.2 million in premium. DGLY, Digital Ally. We'll drag it up here so that we can see how it looks in comparison. A lot of market compression there. Broke structure. I'd really like to see, man, if we can get a nickel out of that thing, that'd be great. I missed the move, though. I'd be looking for a pullback, personally. JD. Somebody grabbed 3,000 puts in JD. You can see looking left, we're breaking structure. This gap had already been filled. Well, partially filled. We can run it from the partial right there. 39.5 is the top of that pivot when we look back here. and we look right here. So 39.5 would be my most immediate target in that move down in JD. Yeah, we do have a pretty high rank on Google searches and YouTube and things like that. A lot of work has gone into that we could all tip our hat to Dan and Lucian for that. Those guys are beasts. And if you don't know who Dan and Lucian are, stop by the website. They've got an amazing story to tell. And make sure you come into the trade chat room and give a shout out. All right, guys, I look forward to seeing all of you there. And when it comes to the indicators, my own personal Discord, and I always have to mention whenever I say anything about Discord, the Bullish Bears does not have and is not getting a Discord. So don't be reaching out saying, oh, when are we going to get a Discord? It's mine, it's not theirs, but I invite people over there. It has got a ton of thinkorswim indicators and scans and how-tos, and it is full of free content that you could get on the web for free. No, there's no paid services, no call outs, no trade alerts, no nothing. But there is that. All right, guys, have a good one. And I'm sure there'll be somebody streaming tomorrow morning. I will be streaming again 9 a.m. Wednesday morning. NASDAQ, Dow breaking to the upside, S&P breaking up but running into resistance. And the Russell is still stuck, but it's working on it. Market participants on all four corners.